much better.
Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please sing along. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. One more time. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. We're going to pick it up a little bit. Could I ask somebody to see if they can go find Frank? Okay,
Told him
we
to
need,
look for him.
we need Frank's assistance in here, so. We're going to sing Open the Eyes of My Heart, Lord. So if you feel like moving around, if you could rise, you're willing and able, put your hands together. This is a celebration this morning. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see you. See you high and lifted up. my heart. I wanna see you. I wanna see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I wanna see you. See you high and lifted up, shining in the light of your glory. Pour out your power and love as we sing, holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. Holy, holy, holy. I wanna see you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. So, this is kind of our theme song around here. It's called We Are Family.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Everyone can see we're together as we walk on by, and we fly just like birds of a feather. I won't tell no lie. Oh, all of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Just let me speak for the record. We're giving love in a family dose. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. Living life is fun, and we've just begun to get our share of this world's delights. High hopes we have for the future and our goals inside. We know we don't get depressed. Here's what we call our golden rule. Have faith in you and the things you do. You won't go wrong. This is our family too. We are family. Oh, I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody.
Okay. Good morning. This morning, we'd like to acknowledge the lands on which our congregation sits. It is the lands of the Ohlone and the Chechen people, and one of the things we do when we bring this up each week is to establish and affirm that the indigenous people of these lands are still here. When we talk about acknowledging the land, one of the things we're talking about is acknowledging those relationships. And we are grateful to do so this morning as part of our work of being a community of communities. Now I welcome Marilyn McMahon.
Good morning. We acknowledge the land and the peoples who belong to this land, the Muwekma Ohlone peoples. Our church, our homes, and our institutions are occupying their lands, ancestral and current. We unconceal together that the lands were stolen from the Ohlone peoples, who have an ancestral relationship for millennia, continuous to the present day, with this land, the plants, the animals, and the water. Ohlone people are still here. We also recognize that the Ohlone ancestors, in spirit and of the land, are present. In solidarity with all Indigenous people and their right to self-determination and justice, we commit to working toward accountability of the theft, dispossession, and resulting trauma Native peoples continue to face. We commit to being active partners toward the healing of the intergenerational trauma which persists to this day. Amen. So may we live. Next up, 3 reminders. They concern the Board of Trustees meeting, a neighborhood cleanup, and our holiday concert. The date of the Board of Trustees meeting has changed till after Thanksgiving. It will be held Tuesday, November 29th on Zoom. We begin at 6:45 with a 15-minute public comment period. You can either appear to speak or have your comments read aloud for you by emailing them to board@uuoakland.org. Look in the Chalice chatter for the Zoom link and the meeting materials. Also in the Chalice chatter, there's a joint message from the board, the Committee on the Well-Being of Shared Ministry, and Pastor Ninan. It concerns the processes we'll use to ensure a healthy future for our congregation. Our good neighbors next door, the African American Museum and Library, have invited us to join their volunteers at a neighborhood cleanup this coming Saturday, November 26th, starting at 10:30 a.m. Come join together in service, build beloved community, and get to know each other and our neighbors better. Gloves, vests, and cleanup tools will be provided. For more info, contact Steve Thomasberger. And save the date of Saturday evening, December 17th. After 3 years, our annual holiday concert returns. Church musicians will be here live and in person for Light These Lights, an evening of holiday favorites and new music by Joyful Noise Band, Crescendo Choir, and other talent from the congregation. For more information, see the church website, uuoakland.org. Thank you, and welcome everyone this morning.
Hi, my name is Jeff.
Do we have a handheld you can grab? There you go.
Thank you. My name is Jeffrey Melcher. I'm the Director of Religious Education. There was a brief invitation for people to maybe bring a blanket or a quilt today. If you did that, you can. And we're inviting you to come up and kind of picnic out over here. And if you didn't bring one, you're still welcome to come sit up close on the rug up there. And now I'm going to invite everybody to do the words and light our chalice today, and Orhan's going to help with the hand signs. So you're all invited to join in.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Let me see you be ready. Come on. Yeah, help Orhan do it.
Ready?
All right.
We light this chalice symbol of Unitarian Universalism, may it remind us of the divine spark in all of creation, the power of love to heal what is broken, and to be grateful for life's blessings each day. Thank you. We have just a little skit.
It's actually the call to worship. What I'd like you to hear today is the big invitation. So listen for it.
Do you like sushi?
I like fish, I like rice, and I like seaweed.
So you like sushi? Maybe you should slow down.
No, it goes by too fast, and I can't grab it. I'm just hungry and impatient and...
Oh, you are talking about a sushi merry-go-round. Being hungry is understandable. Have you ever been so ready to eat that you got hangry?
What's hangry?
Hangry is when you're hungry and impatient, and it makes you feel a little angry. Hungry plus angry equals hangry.
Hungry plus angry equals what?
Hungry.
Oh. What do we do about it?
The book of Matthew says that being hungry to do the right thing will lead us to both happiness and satisfaction.
Really? So being hungry for doing the right thing and being a good friend connects us with strength?
It turns out that it's more important to be there for there to be enough food to go around than for the food to go around and around. We can share with neighbors, friends, and family. In the Christian scripture, there's even a story about a huge crowd sharing small 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish.
How is that enough?
That's a really good question. The story of the shared lunch reminds us that it's important to look out for everyone and to share.
And we're going to share bread today, like the boy shared his lunch?
That's right. Bread reminds us to take care of each other and to share. Plus, it's delicious. Let's listen.
Today we'll be talking about baskets of bread, remembering that a story can be true without being factually accurate. We'll be celebrating our traditional bread communion ceremony.
We will consider the power and symbolism of bread. We will share bread together in holy gratitude.
The bread represents not only food, but also generosity of the hands that made it, the connection of flour and yeast inside it, and a source of strength.
As we encounter bread today, both literally and metaphorically, try to bring to mind those people and things which we love to have around us, for which we are thankful. Good humor and kindness being tops on my list. We remember the ancient story of a boy who was generous with his 5 loaves of bread, along with 2 small fish, an act of generosity by which 5,000 people were fed. So are we too, like that biblical boy, people who make much from little. People who share with clear-eyed confidence that what we give will be returned to us, multiplied, maybe, if we're lucky.
It matters that we connect in community. It matters that we have enough for each person and that we share it.
The story goes that Jesus gave the parts of the shared lunch, bread and fish, to the disciples or followers to distribute to the people.
All ate and were satisfied. And the disciples, men and women, picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. In that spirit of enough for everyone,
Plenitude. Welcome to this celebration of tradition
the recognition of abundance,
and the remembering of care. Let's join in saying the words on the screen. Come, let us worship together.
This morning we join in singing number 349, We Gather Together.
We light the Black Lives Matter candle and the peace candle, allowing the flame to represent our hunger for a world in which all people live in peace, safety, and joy.
I'm so grateful today that Mickey Duxbury is joining us to share about the Interfaith Council for Justice in our jails. This is a labor of love and justice that includes what we're talking about today, people's ability to have enough. Mickey, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Soto, for asking me. The Interfaith Coalition for Justice in Our Jails was formed in 2019 as an outgrowth of Faith in Action East Bay. We're an advocacy and activist organization that represent 15 different communities of faith, including the First Unitarian Church of Oakland. Our advocacy takes many forms. We have many meetings with Board of Supervisors individually and committees, involving congregations and campaigns, and having events to reach people of faith about conditions in our jail and the overall injustice in our criminal justice system. Our first campaign was to restore Medi-Cal to people in jail before they were released so they could get medical care and prescription drugs as soon as they get out instead of waiting months. Many ministers stood before the Board of Supervisors to pressure them to get this done, and 3 years later, this campaign is still going on. Our own beloved Heather McLeod's godson died after a suicide attempt in Santa Rita jail. And I'll bring up also the words of our dear, loved Lauren Poole, who always reminded us of Brian Stevenson's thought about getting proximal to suffering. So I'm sharing this next to help us be proximal to suffering. Leonard Brown, Heather McLeod's godson, was transferred out of the hospital because he was in such dire strait, out of the jail into a hospital. His family was not informed that anything had happened until the hospital called asking them if they would donate his organs. You can imagine their horror. This was so appalling that we joined with families advocating for the seriously mentally ill to have a big rally and vigil in front of the Board of Supervisors to make the 63 deaths in the last 8 years visible. Over 15 religious leaders attended, including Reverend Soto. Next. These are the sisters of Maurice Monk. He died just a year ago in Santa Rita. While he was having a serious psychiatric episode, he was extracted from his cell by deputies and put on his stomach and put in a full-body restraint. You can see the grief in their faces. Maurice was developmentally delayed and had other learning challenges and was a psychiatric patient. He was arrested after an argument with a bus driver about his mask. He should never have been in jail. No one gets well in a cell. We read every name of the 63 people who had died. Every one of them was someone's brother, uncle, husband, or father. No matter what they did, being in our county jail should not be a death sentence. We created headstones for every person that had died. Here you can see Dennis Rowcliffe in the back and Amy Carlson holding signs. Both the Department of Justice and another large class settlement testified to the egregious conditions in our jail and the dehumanizing practices by many of the guards. We work with other community organizations that understand that people with serious mental illness do not belong in jail. In fact, it's shown through the nation they get worse, especially as in our jail, they're put in isolation cells. We work with the Care First, Jail's Last coalition to advocate for more treatment in the community. This is Rosie Santiago, who spoke at our October event. One of her stories that stood out for me was that if a woman on the pod had had some kind of illegal item, the entire pod of 20 to 30 women was sent outside, no matter what time of day or night or how cold it was, stripped naked while they were all searched. It was a form of collective punishment that Rosie witnessed several times while she was in Santa Rita. And I know some of you are thinking, is this 1950s Louisiana? Anyway, Norma Nelson's brother died in Santa Rita after 2 days, next slide, when he was put in a cell and beaten to death by a white supremacist. We have a new sheriff that can make a difference, but only if we hold her accountable. Next slide. Here's Reverend Soto at our May 24th gathering. We will continue to highlight the conditions in the jail that contribute to people dying. We want to do more than improve the jail. We work with others to demand affordable housing and alternatives to incarceration. There's joy and gratitude in our work too. It's hard to turn big ships around, but when we join with other people of faith, we can make a big difference in people's lives. I'll be at coffee hour if you have any questions about the coalition and the small steps we can take together to make a difference. Thank you.
For that musical interlude. So now, as a tradition of our congregation and community to have an embracing meditation to hold people in care, I'm going to start with 3 things that have happened out in the community and on our own. First, as we hold in our hearts all the families and friends who lost loved ones in the shooting last night in the Colorado Springs LGBTQ club. 5 died, 18 injured. Closer to home, we hold Bev Smurha in care. She's in the hospital. So please talk to pastoral associates if you want to help out or be in contact with Bev. Do I have any PAs here? Raise your hands. Okay. We'll get you connected. There's one back there. I also want to mention Xavier, who received an Outstanding Citizen Award at his school. So today's the rest of I invite you to hold these names in your heart and any others that you have. We're going to light this candle today to hold the joys and sorrows in our hearts. And we hold these people and things in our care each week. Please join me in saying the words on the screen. We hold them in our care.
Thank you, Jeff. We invite the choir this morning. God's going to set this world on fire. We're going to sit at the welcome table. You better give them your biggest smile. So grateful for the choir this morning. Take a smooth, easy breath in celebration of that choir. Thank you, Stephen, Renee, Susan, Vincent. Beautiful. Today, as we prepare for bread communion, we also prepare our hearts with a gesture that reflects gratitude. You'll see it on the screen. I invite you to put your hands together, palm to palm, at the level of your heart. This is a mudra, or a meditative gesture. While mudras are best known in Buddhist and Hindu meditation, they are also present in most traditions, including Christianity. Thus, as you engage in it, we welcome an additional practice without appropriating it. If this gesture is not available to you, please feel free to substitute another or reflect on the gestures of your neighbors. Consider the warmth and smoothness of the pressing palm to palm and the simple reminder that we always begin with gratitude for life. We receive fragments of holiness, glimpses of eternity, brief moments of insight. Let us gather them up for the precious gifts they are, and renewed by their grace, move boldly into the unknown. This is one way Reverend Sarah Moores Campbell, a white Unitarian Universalist minister who served at Santa Barbara and as an affordable housing activist, describes the life of a spiritual and ethical seeker. Fragments. The mystic relationship to the universe connects with the miracle story we consider today. A modest lunch, snacks really, became enough to feed 5,000 men, women, and an additional uncounted number, 5,000 men, and an additional uncounted number of women and children. The miracle story cannot assure us that one lunch will feed an immense crowd. After the service, we will have many lunches to feed many people. It points to something else. Janine Benyus, the mother of biomimicry, says that nature would always create conditions conducive to life. She tells of a radical fringe of scientists who are realizing that natural selection isn't individual, but mutual. That species only survive if they learn to be in community. Many of us have been socialized that constant growth and critical mass are the ways to create change. This ritual, this miracle story, and the patterns of emergence in nature remind us that adaptation and evolution depend more on critical connections, dare I say, love, Adrienne Marie Brown reminds us, between the nodes in the patterns. But emergence shows us this. We gather fragments of holiness. 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. We reflect on how they became enough precisely because the miracle story tells us that they all ate their fill. There is enough in this community to connect and care for each and all of us. We will keep moving forward toward a post-pandemic future in which people come together to build the beloved community both within and beyond our walls, and there is more than enough. Just as the miracle story, the followers of Jesus collected 12 baskets of leftover bread, enough and to spare. We dedicate the symbol of bread, the expanse of our welcome table, and our practice of love in this moment. May our acts and words of love be as substantial and nourishing as this bread, as obvious and central in our lives. Our connection in covenant and care multiplies, not simply adds to the power of this community. As in the miracle story, let each eat their fill. Let us come together with enough and to spare, and strengthen and nourish one another. Come to this table for everyone. Let us break bread together.
So we are going to sing some new words to Michael Rode the Boat Ashore. It will be up on the screen, so please sing along.
Break bread on this day. The ritual of breaking bread together is one that has been with the human family in various forms for millennia.
Giving thanks for the harvest, a prayer that the earth sustain life once again. In the Christian tradition, the disciples broke bread together during a Passover meal. when yet another ruling power was asserting control through violence. They responded with a practice of faith and connection. They broke bread together, even though they struggled in the depths of grief and fear. They did it as an act of hope, to show that forces of empire, violence, and evil would not extinguish the forces of life and love.
First Unitarian Church of Oakland reintroduced a bread communion into our annual liturgy in the 1980s, after a break of some years. More recently, the COVID-19 pandemic prevented us from breaking bread together in this way and other ways. Bread communion gained even more meaning in the 1990s through our connection with Unitarians in Transylvania. Our partner church in Oakland, Transylvania, holds a communion of remembrance 4 times a year, on Christmas, Easter, Pentecost, and Thanksgiving. We connect with spiritual kin across the world through this practice. We practice free and open communion. Everyone here is invited to participate without reservation. Let's say that together, without reservation.
Without reservation, we return to this table, our communion table, to gather. This ritual connects us in ways that we can only begin to know through time and space, to our history, to all the people who have gathered at this table to practice love, honor, and memory and community, honoring one another, the earth and the cycle of life.
In a moment, you will be invited to come down the center aisle to take a piece of bread and go back to your seat from the side aisles. The bread was made with care by Jody Matthews. Exactly. My next sentence was, our community appreciates and thanks you. So let's say that. Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, Jody.
Take a piece of bread, or the gluten-free option is the basket of crackers. And if you are able, we invite you to take it to your seat.
Look around you. Look across the room. Let us know that we ourselves are as one body, remembering beloveds also on Zoom. Beloveds on Zoom, do greet one another in the chat. You are a cherished part of this body. A body imperfect, sometimes broken in our humanness, complicit and impacted by systems of oppression that were established long before any of us were born. In a moment, the bell will sound and will invite you to break your bread, and with it, allow your heart to break open. Let our compassion lead us to acknowledge our suffering and that of others. Take the bread, but do not eat it. Perhaps break the piece apart and examine it.
We invite you to begin come taking bread. consider the bread, notice what wells up in your heart. In this week, in this month, in this year, the bittersweet nature of bread communion both in Hamilton Hall and on Zoom. Let us enter into a time of shared silence and the breaking of bread.
This bell was brought to us by Bev Smirha, a longtime congregant. She brought it back to the church after living in Taiwan, and she flew with the bell on her lap all the way on the airplane. Thank you, Bev, for your connection with and care for this community.
As we gather at this table to share, honor, and remember, let us notice the larger forces that hold us. The earth, its large body which holds us. The ultimate mystery, the source and sustenance of all creation that some call God. The abiding force of love that holds us and will never let us go.
There is so much to be grateful for, so much love and care, passion and dedication present right here at this sacred table. Our shared life as a community is a blessing, and each of us is a tapestry woven of experiences and understandings for which we can be grateful. In a moment, the bell will sound again, and you are invited into a time of meditation. I invite you to hold your piece of bread, look at it closely, see the miracle of it, made from earth and water, warmed by fire. And as you notice the texture and smell of the bread, let it into your awareness, your own gratitude for all that gives you life and sustains you.
What do you have to be grateful for in this moment, in this week, in this month, in this year? How does gratitude coexist with your grief? Honor them both in this moment as part of what connects us one to another, the sublime joy and steep difficulty of our human experience. If you wish, allow a word or a phrase to form that gives voice to your gratitude. Feel free to use your soft voice so that we may both remember and reflect in this shared space.
When the bell rings again the second time, you will be invited to speak the words or phrase of gratitude or grief out into the shared space, allowing words to tumble over words, trusting they will be held in the great web of all existence. Let us share these words of gratitude along with the space. And now ring the bell to begin the quiet reflection.
Having honored both our grief and our gratitude at this table, we continue to consider the bread, made possible by the sun, the moon, the air, and the water, made real by the farmer, the laborer, and by the person who with such care baked this bread, that it might nourish you and empower you, symbol of abundance, persistence, and the knowledge that not only are we more together than alone, the power of community multiplies your strength, so that you might notice once again that the forces of life and love persist. Take, eat this bread, symbol of community, emblem of our shared mission, and power to nourish the world and be fully nourished.
Once you have eaten the bread, I invite you to form the Mudra Anjali in the quiet space, creating space between the palms and fingers, resembling a flower yet to open, symbolizing the opening of our hearts.
We are grateful that we all eat our fill, that this food is largely ceremonial and you have more. Let that burn in your heart as the truth that you will be nourished. Allow that to fuel your determination that there is room at the table for everyone.
We receive fragments of holiness through our life with one another. Remember the prisoner. Remember the Oakland child going to bed hungry. May this table transform our relationship to all other tables, abundant or spare, everyday or ritual, that we may feed and comfort a hungry world.
So may we live. Pardon. I need a drink. We welcome Rhonda Bartley this morning. On the core stewardship team, to give us news, I would like to read the names of the rest of the team. Rhonda Bartley, Jody Matthews, Dan Wright, and Dave Rudy. Thank them with your appreciation. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Pastor Ninan. So today is a very special day, falling as it does in the middle of this season of generosity and gratitude. We have completed the main portion of our annual stewardship campaign for commitments of time, talent, and treasure to sustain our church in 2023. Directly after the service today, everyone is invited to our stewardship celebration luncheon in Venti Hall, through those doors. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. Whether you have pledged or not, whether this is your first Sunday with us or your 400th Sunday with us, we want to break bread together for the first time in 3 years since the pandemic first hit. All are welcome. This is not a meeting, folks. It's not a meeting.
It's not a meeting. It's not a meeting.
Though there will be just a few minutes of talk and reflection. Mostly it's a chance to be together in gratitude and delicious homemade food prepared with love, of course, by our own Jody Mathis. Just a few instructions so you know how to get your food. We will begin immediately after service. You want to just file into Venti Hall and go to the service window, pick up a plate, and have a seat at any one of the tables. No assigned seats. And of course, children are most welcome, and if they would like to play after eating, Dorothy will be in the spirit room on the second floor to host and supervise them. And now, to share our results, we have our, what's it called, people? A chilometer, exactly. Here's our chilometer. We will look at this a bit more closely at our lunch, but our pledge total so far, with 86 pledge cards in, is $280,954.12. Folks, this truly does represent incredible generosity from a small but mighty congregation, and we are truly grateful. And now, will the ushers please come forward to collect this morning's offerings? And now we bless the offerings of this congregation with the words on the screen. Please read them with me. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love we call community, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings. Thank you for your practice of generosity in this community, and now we will sing the benediction together.
So we're singing once again to the tune of Michael Road and Lower Shore. Here we go. We
Our body, strength, and soul.
Thank you, everyone. This concludes worship this morning. Please go.
Thank you for joining us today. Please go in peace, practice love, return, enjoy.